Back in 2015, I made a video called Outdoorsy Stuff in Old Shop Vac. I bought this very Shop Vac, which is a actual Shop Vac brand Shop Vac, back in, oh god, 2006? Yeah, 2006 when I bought this house. I bought it for a particular reason, and in fact, I can even show you that. The garbage can all the way at the end, you'll see, is larger than the rest. And the previous owners had purchased that, and it was in the basement, filled with water. So I needed a way to empty that, and I didn't have a sump pump. I didn't have I didn't even know that I had a pool cover pump. That would have worked great. Nothing. I just knew that I had this big thing that I couldn't possibly move because it was way too heavy, and I needed to empty it. That particular Shop Vac pumps water, and I bought it, number one, for that reason, and number two, because I'm going to need a Shop Vac. About a year or two after I bought it, and it worked acceptable for its particular application, about a year or two after I bought it, a certain XJO81X was going to be getting an apartment with some girl that was a one-night stand that turned into another one-night stand that turned into another one-night stand to, hey, I'm going to pay for everything if you come to New York. And he started looking for apartments. Actually found one. It was the upstairs of somebody's house that was 6 or 8 blocks away from here, and it was the upstairs. It was a sort of like a two-family house, and he borrowed it, and he was going to paint the walls and rip out the carpeting and either refinish the floors, but I think they were plywood, so there was going to be new carpeting laid down. And of course, because Chitaliano, he decided that I'm going to change all the outlets and, you know, do that, make everything look fresh and nice and blah blah blah, and he borrowed it, and that's fine, and it's up there and whatever. And I get a call from him one day, says a friend of his told him that there was a fire on that block, and he wanted me to go past there. Yeah, it was that house. So this was in the fire, and the duct tape, or what's left of it on the hose, is because it naturally curves down, and it melted a hole in it. Besides it being disgusting looking back then, from the fire and the smoke damage, it smelled like smoke. So I think at the time I was keeping this in the garage and wasn't going to be kept there anymore because of how it smelled. It still worked, but you know, it just smelled like a fire, and that's no good. So it was relegated to this back corner, and then the berry plants took, you know, and it covers it up and you don't see it and that. But it's time to finally pull this thing out. Last I ran this was that video I made in 2015. So I don't know that it still works. In 2015, just shy of that, just a little before that video, I think it was, I had to work on this thing and get it to actually work again. Let's see if I could pull it out first. Just sort of go in here and, oh yeah, I forgot how heavy this thing is. Wow, that's cool. The hose is around the berry plant. So, pull that out. There's another duct tape on there. Big hose, nice stuff. It's got the this thing, extensions, and the little doodab on there, and I got a brush thing. I think there was another one that did perish in the fire somewhere. I don't know. And this certainly was not XJO81X's fault. It was the landlord's fault. But for me to get satisfaction out of that, out of the landlord that simply, obviously, was not going to happen with the entire house being burnt down. It's since been rebuilt and new owners took ownership, all that kind of stuff. So this is lived outside, and you're not supposed to leave it outside, you might imagine. Everything in this vacuum since that fire has been fucked up. It's supposed to have a float. When there's too much water, it'll like block it from that. Nope, it just keeps sucking water. Well, that was actually my doing. You know, it'll keep sucking water and it'll start blowing it out the exhaust. So it's actually shorting the motor out and that. Last I ran this in 2015, the bearings were absolutely pooched. They were just pooched. It was in really bad shape, but it still ran and it still sucked. I mean, it always sucked, but it used to have an on-off button. There was a red one and a green one. I guess green was on and red was off. The way it was designed is that if it sucked too much water, it would actually pop the button back up and shut it off. But then there was no water in it and it didn't want to run anymore. So I used to jam something in there to keep it on, and that didn't work anymore. And I finally took it apart and decided that I was going to just jump the switch out. Well, that wasn't really an option because the wire is about that long. So there's no way to, you know, it just wasn't conducive. And there were like at least 12 Torx screws that held it together. It was just a nightmare. It turns out there's actually two switches in there and both need to be depressed, and I don't know how I did it, but somehow I was able to jam the little switch buttons down on the actual switches and shoot about an entire stick of hot glue in there. That held for years. And it still worked back in 2015, so it held for at least a year, and it still ran then. It's possible that we've had enough sun on it over these years that the glue is just melted enough that it popped back off. So I don't even know if it's going to run. If it does, it's going to sound horrible. So let's get this set up in a better location out of the sun so I don't have to stand in the sun. And we'll give it a whirl. So that doesn't look too healthy. So we're going to plug that in. Now this is not live, so it's not going to turn on. It's plugged in. Drop that down. I'm going to go now and stand behind my lead shield and plug in the other end of that cord, and we'll see if it still roars to life. If it does, it's going to sound horrible. If it doesn't, then that really is the end of the show. Here we go. I don't believe it. Certainly did not sound good. And, oh, there he goes. Oh, is it going to blow up? Wow. There's suction. It actually still works. That is utterly amazing. All right, let's unplug it. Oh wait, it's sounding awful. Yeah, it's bad. That is amazing. Now, let's see if there's anything in it. I'd expect there's leaves and other junk and critters and God only knows, so water. A whole lot of stank water. Ooh. A whole lot of stank water. Let me get you a shot of that. A whole lot of stank water in there. That's just black. So I'm drain that out. Now it's currently configured in the wet mode, and I never set it back to the dry mode even when I'm using dry, because it's just so totally effed up. The little filter on the end there, it's supposed to suck water. That don't work no more. Don't pump water anymore. You can see how the label is not showing Shop Vac anymore. You know that because of the way it is, and I just told you that also. No idea what model this was or how many gallons. It's just 16.5. No, 16 gallon, 5.75 peak horsepower. I could still see on the label. So let's empty that out, and I'll try sucking up some of the junk there just as a test. There's even a bonus. The wildlife, ladies and gentlemen. The wildlife. There's a froggle. I don't know if there's just one or... because that moves. No, that's alright. Well, anyway, there's a froggle in there. He's, sure he had a rude awakening. Sorry, froggle. Maybe he'll hop out at one point. I'm gonna go dump this somewhere. One time I left my shoes in the mud. I had mud and the horses ate my shoes and they were very sick. Very sick.
Right, because one time I left my shoes in the mud. I had mud and the horses ate my shoes and they were very sick. Very sick.
So that didn't work as well as I hoped. I thought it was just gonna kind of go under the fence, but instead it just made a mess, and hopefully it'll just join the rest of the earth at one point or another. See him? There he is. The little froggle. I don't know if I can get him. Kind of think he's going to hop away and then pee on me. Yeah, I'll let him do his thing. He's got things to do, I guess. That's a hell of a lot better than it was, so I'll call that good. Plug it up and see if it actually sucks. Now, this is horribly inefficient and certainly not the right tool for the job. The right tool would be a blower, and while I would do that, it would probably blow most of this into the pool. So let's see, A, if it's going to start up again, B, if it still sucks. Oh yeah, that sounds great. It does. I don't think it likes it very much. That's one of the things that I do. I'm supposed to leave for the day. But it actually still works. Boy, it sounds horrible. What an enlightening experience using this is going to be. Like, is it going to die? Is it going to die? Is it going to die? Oh, check it out. We have Chooch. We have Chooch. All the dust is just spitting out because there's no filter in it. Where are we here? There we are. Let's try some here. actually still works. You hear it? It like goes to die. I don't know how this damn thing still runs. I have no idea. This I could get with the blower. It's just the stuff around the pool that's really bad. Man, that sounds horrible. Is it dying now? Wow, that is really impressive. I can't believe it still works. I really can't believe it still works. That's awesome. So yeah, the old Shop Vac. That's the back of it. Here's the front of it again. They put that in the front part. Wow, I'm amazed it still runs. Well, it looks like I have a lot of work to do vacuuming all kinds of stuff. A lot of leaves and other crap that I haven't done in years just because I haven't done it. And we saw a froggle, and it still runs, and it still sucks. I don't think it sucks as much as Jay's barbecue. Oh well. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.